What if your life has been shaped by hidden laws no one ever told you about? Not legal laws, but universal forces that shape your thoughts, emotions, and destiny. These are the 7 Hermetic Laws, ancient principles whispered by mystics, encoded in secret texts, and now mirrored in quantum physics. They weren't created to control you, they were hidden because they awaken power. Once you see reality through their lens, you stop blaming the outside world and remember, you are consciousness itself, entangled with existence. This video isn't just information, it's initiation, a journey that blends mysticism with neuroscience and psychology. These laws don't turn you into a philosopher, they turn you into a creator. Let's begin with the first law, the principle of mentalism. The all is mind, the universe is mental. The Kybalion, this is the first Hermetic law, and it's not just poetic. It's a seismic shift in how you view everything. It means that everything you experience, everything you call reality, begins in consciousness, not in atoms, not in matter, not in events, but in mind. The Hermeticists weren't talking about your personal mind, your thoughts, your ego, or your memories. They were pointing to something much bigger, a universal mind, an infinite field of intelligence, imagination, and possibility. This mind isn't just watching the universe. It is the universe. Everything you see, every object, every situation, even your own identity, is a kind of mental projection, like a dream arising inside this larger consciousness. Now pause here for a second. Let it land. Because this flips everything. If the universe is mental, then reality isn't something out there that you react to. It's something in here, a reflection of awareness itself. And that means your inner world doesn't just influence the outer, it creates it. Let's bring it closer to home. Ever noticed how 2 people can go through the same event and have completely different experiences? One sees opportunity, the other sees disaster. One sees meaning, the other sees chaos. That's not just psychology, that's mentalism in action. What you hold in your consciousness, your beliefs, your expectations, your emotional patterns, shapes what reality reflects back to you. This is not some fluffy affirmation of positive thinking. This is physics. This is alchemy. And if you're feeling skeptical, you should. This law isn't asking for blind faith. It's asking for experimentation. Because if everything is mental, then you are never just a victim of circumstance. You are a projector, and the film reel running through your mind, your self-image, your fears, your fantasies, is shaping what you see on the screen of your life. Think about it. Your body can't tell the difference between a vividly imagined event and a real one. You can feel anxiety just by imagining failure. You can feel love just by picturing someone who made your heart expand. So if the mind can create emotion without events, and if emotion is energy, and if energy shapes your actions, then isn't your mind already writing your reality, whether you're aware of it or not? Here's where this gets profound and dangerous, because this law doesn't only work when you're being mindful, it's always running, which means your unconscious thoughts, your inherited beliefs, the silent stories you tell yourself when no one's looking, they are creating too. That's why most people live in loops, repeating the same emotional patterns, the same toxic relationships, the same feelings of not enough. They think they're cursed by life, but they're haunted by their own mental architecture. And yet, that's the good news, because what's created by mind can be recreated by mind. Mentalism isn't about blame, it's about sovereignty. The universe is not punishing you, it's mirroring you. It's a feedback loop between your inner frequencies and the infinite field of possibility we call reality. When you shift your consciousness, when you change the stories you believe, the symbols you respond to, the identity you inhabit, you shift the entire projection. You don't have to manipulate external conditions to change your life. You just have to change the mental field that's generating them. That's what this law invites. A revolution not in your circumstances, but in your perception. A radical return to the truth that you are not your thoughts, but the thinker. Not your emotions, but the witness. Not your experiences, but the architect behind the curtain. And once you truly realize that, you stop reacting. You start creating, and that is the first step toward mastering not just the Hermetic Laws, but the entire reality you wake up inside. Imagine your mind as a flashlight in a vast, infinite room. Wherever you point it, that's what you see, that's your reality. But what if you've been unconsciously aiming it toward fear, scarcity, and confusion? What if you've been lighting up only the corners of life that confirm your deepest insecurities? Here's the truth: where your attention goes, energy flows, and reality follows. This is why meditation is not just a spiritual luxury or a relaxation technique. It is the foundation of conscious creation. Meditation is how you reclaim the spotlight, how you stop reacting and start choosing, how you pull your awareness back from the noise of the world and bring it home, to intention, to clarity, to the inner field where reality begins. Most people spend their lives distracted, not by accident, but by design. We're trained by social media, by culture, by systems, to scatter our attention, to jump from thought to thought, screen to screen, problem to problem. And what does that create? Scattered energy, fractured emotions, chaotic results. But here's the Hermetic twist. Your mind is not weak, it's just unfocused. Like a laser, unfocused is just light. But when refined into a single beam, it can cut through steel. That's what meditation does. It gathers the fragments of your awareness and brings them into one point of power. It turns chaos into coherence, and coherence is creation. Because when your mind becomes still, your frequency becomes pure. And in that purity, you begin to tune reality, like adjusting a dial on a radio. You're no longer listening to static. You're receiving signal, clear, direct, resonant with your intention. Meditation is not about escaping reality. It's about engaging it more consciously. It's where you meet your subconscious. It's where you rewrite the programs. And here's something most people don't realize. Your subconscious doesn't respond to logic. It responds to repetition, to emotion, to imagery. So when you sit in silence, when you visualize a new possibility with emotion, when you hold an image in your mind long enough for it to feel real, you are literally planting new blueprints in the field of creation. Neuroscience backs this up. Studies on neuroplasticity show that focused visualization strengthens neural pathways in the brain, just like actual experience does. You can train your body, shift your mood, even alter your biology, without leaving your seat, because your brain and body don't know the difference between reality and imagination. And when you add intention to imagination, you become a creator, not a consumer. This is why sacred traditions placed such emphasis on stillness, breath, focus. It wasn't just discipline, it was technology, inner technology. The original interface between mind and matter. In Hermetic terms, your focus is like the wand of the magician, not because it casts spells in the air, but because it directs the mind, and thus alters the matrix of reality itself. The deeper you go into meditation, the more subtle your awareness becomes. You begin to see the thoughts behind the thoughts, the emotions behind the emotions, the root patterns you've been living from without knowing. And in that moment, awareness becomes alchemy. Because what you can witness, you can change without. Meditation, you are a passenger in your own mind. With meditation, you take the wheel. Without focus, you are an echo of external noise. With focus, you become a signal of pure creation. So here's the question. How many moments of your life are you actually here? Not lost in thought, not reacting to a screen, but fully conscious, fully present, directing your energy on purpose. Because those are the moments where you are truly alive. Those are the moments where manifestation begins. And if you want to master the Hermetic Laws, if you want to reprogram your reality from the inside out, then meditation isn't optional. It's essential. It's the seat of your sovereignty, the throne of the Creator within. If the universe is mental, and if focus directs that mental energy, then what happens when your focus is being driven by something you can't even see? Welcome to the subconscious mind, the true creator behind the curtain. According to Hermetic teachings, everything is mind, but not all mind is conscious. In fact, the conscious mind is just the tip of the iceberg, a tiny fraction of the total mental field at play. Below the surface lies the subconscious, a vast reservoir of memories, beliefs, traumas, archetypes, and ancestral patterns. It's where your emotional reflexes live, where your identity scripts were installed, where reality gets shaped before your awareness even catches up. Carl Jung called it the hidden architect of behavior. Hermeticists called it the receptive aspect of mind. Modern neuroscience calls it the autopilot system, but whatever name you give it, the truth remains. Your subconscious is always creating. It doesn't care about your goals, your vision board, or your intellectual intentions. It only knows what you've taught it, repeatedly and emotionally, to believe. Let's make this real. Have you ever tried to change your life, set goals, write affirmations, say positive things, only to find yourself slipping back into the same old patterns? That's not a lack of willpower. That's a misalignment between your conscious intention and your subconscious programming. Imagine trying to steer a ship while the autopilot is set in the opposite direction. You can grab the wheel all you want, but unless you reset the coordinates underneath, you'll keep drifting back to the same waters. This is why the Hermetic teachings emphasized inner mastery before outer change, because you don't manifest what you want. You manifest what you are, and what you are is largely determined by the silent agreements you've made with your subconscious. These agreements were formed over time. A childhood moment of shame that taught you to fear visibility, a relationship betrayal that convinced you love equals pain, a cultural belief that told you abundance is selfish. They live in the background, operating like a program, invisible but active, until you bring them into the light. And this is where the real magic begins, because the subconscious isn't fixed. It's programmable. Like fertile soil, it will grow whatever seed you plant, if you water it with repetition, emotion, and belief. This is why affirmations, visualization, and emotionally charged imagery are not just spiritual gimmicks. They are subconscious coding tools, used for thousands of years in mystery schools, rituals, and healing practices. Modern neuroscience confirms this. Studies show that visualization combined with emotion creates real physiological changes in the brain. Neural pathways are restructured, emotional associations are reconditioned, and most importantly, your baseline of belief begins to shift. You're not just thinking new thoughts, you're becoming a new field of energy. And as we've already explored, energy shapes experience. But here's the catch. The subconscious doesn't speak the language of words. It speaks the language of symbols, repetition, and emotion. This is why dreams are symbolic, why rituals use repeated gestures, why trauma gets stored, not as stories, but as felt sensations in the body. So if you want to change your life at the deepest level, you can't just think positively. You have to re-educate the subconscious. You have to create new emotional signatures that feel safe, empowered, and aligned with your truth. This is shadow work. This is emotional alchemy. This is rewriting the inner script. And when you do, something remarkable happens. Life begins to mirror your healing. Not instantly, but organically. You notice different people showing up, New opportunities emerge, old patterns dissolve, synchronicities increase. Why? Because your frequency has changed, and the universe, being mental, is responding to the new signal you're sending out. So ask yourself, what hidden beliefs are shaping your reality without your permission? What emotional patterns are looping underneath your conscious choices? What truth wants to rise from your subconscious and take the wheel? Because until you meet those parts of yourself, you're not creating your life, you're recreating your past. But once you reclaim your inner world, your outer world can't help but transform. For centuries, the idea that the universe is mental was dismissed as spiritual idealism, too abstract, too mystical. But then something happened. Science caught up, or rather, it stumbled into the same mystery. It began with a deceptively simple question: what happens when you observe a particle? In the early 1900s, physicists conducted what is now one of the most famous experiments in modern science, the double-slit experiment. At its core, it went like this. They fired tiny particles, electrons or photons, toward a screen with two slits. If the particles were just matter, they should go through one slit or the other, like marbles through a slot. But instead, something weird happened. When unobserved, the particles created an interference pattern, as if they were waves passing through both slits simultaneously and interfering with themselves. It made no sense. Particles shouldn't behave like that, but it gets stranger when scientists placed a detector to observe which slit the particle passed through. The wave pattern collapsed. Suddenly, the particles behaved as expected, like solid objects choosing one path. What does that mean? It means the act of observation, the simple presence of consciousness, changed the outcome. Think about that. Matter only behaves like matter when you look at it. Otherwise, it exists as potential, a wave of probabilities, waiting for someone to choose reality by observing it. This wasn't just a fluke, it was replicated. And the implications shook science to its core. It suggested that reality isn't fixed, that particles don't exist in one form until they're observed, that the universe is not objective, but participatory. And this is exactly what the Hermeticists taught thousands of years ago. The all is mind, the universe is mental. Consciousness is not just a product of the brain, it's a force embedded in the very architecture of the cosmos. It doesn't emerge from matter, it gives rise to matter. Even physicist Max Planck, father of quantum theory, said, "I regard consciousness as fundamental. I regard matter as derivative from consciousness." In other words, mind doesn't come from the body. Body comes from mind. This flips the materialist worldview on its head. It means you are not a passive observer of a dead mechanical universe. You are an active participant in a living, responsive matrix. You're not just in the simulation, you are co-authoring it. And while science hasn't fully explained how or why consciousness influences reality, the pattern is clear. Light behaves differently when watched. Atoms seem to know what we're looking for. Experiments like the delayed choice quantum eraser suggest decisions in the present can affect the past. Let that sink in. The very laws of time begin to bend when consciousness is involved, and if that sounds like mysticism, it is. But it's also science. The boundaries between physics and metaphysics are dissolving. And at the center of that convergence is you, the conscious observer, the shaper of probability. So what does this mean for your life? It means your thoughts are not confined to your skull. They're energetic events, waves collapsing into form. Your focus, your expectation, your emotional frequency, they're not passive traits. They are instructions to the universe. They Tell reality how to behave around you. This is not wishful thinking. This is the strange but testable implication of quantum mechanics. And while mainstream science still wrestles with its implications, Hermetic philosophy has known it all along. You are a mind within a greater mind, and that mind responds to you. So the question becomes, what are you observing? What meaning are you assigning? What timeline are you energizing with your focus? Because reality, it seems, isn't just waiting to happen. It's waiting for your signal, and once you begin to observe with awareness, to focus with intention, to vibrate with clarity, the laws of the universe are no longer something that happen to you. They become something that move through you. That is the hidden bridge between Hermetic wisdom and quantum mechanics. Not two worlds, but one truth seen through different eyes. As above, so below. As within, so without. As the universe, so the soul. The Emerald Tablet. This isn't just poetic language. It's a principle, a precise law. What happens on one level of reality is reflected on every other level, from the subatomic to the celestial. From your private thoughts to global events, from the movement of galaxies to the twitch of your emotions. Everything is connected, not metaphorically, literally, energetically, structurally. To the Hermeticists, this was the hidden blueprint of the universe, not chaos, but correspondence. The macrocosm reflects the microcosm. The outer reflects the inner. This means, if you want to understand the universe, look at yourself. If you want to change the world, transform your consciousness. If something is repeating externally, it's echoing something internal. Let's bring this down to earth. Have you ever noticed patterns in your relationships? People changing, but the story staying the same? That's not random. That's correspondence. You're not cursed. You're witnessing the external echo of internal beliefs, often unconscious, often inherited. When you shift your inner frequency, your external circumstances begin to reorganize. People respond differently, opportunities show up, synchronicities unfold. Why? Because your external reality is not independent of your inner state. It's a mirror, reflecting back your beliefs, your energy, your emotional habits. This is why mystics and alchemists spent less time changing the world and more time transmuting the self. They knew, if I purify what's within, the world without must respond. This law also explains why spiritual work can feel so destabilizing, because when you begin to shift your inner landscape, your outer life must follow. Sometimes people leave, jobs dissolve, identities fall away, and that's not punishment. That's correspondence. The new you can no longer resonate with the old environment. We see this in nature too. Zoom in on a leaf. You'll find veins that mirror the branches of trees. Zoom out to a river delta. You'll see the same pattern mirrored again. Look at your lungs, then look at the roots of trees. Look at neurons, then look at galaxies. Fractal symmetry is everywhere. This is not a coincidence. It's a law. Sacred geometry, used in ancient temples and modern science alike, is built on the idea that structure reveals consciousness. So when Hermetic philosophy says, as above, so below, it's not just mystical poetry. It's a scientific and spiritual principle, a living diagram of how all things reflect all things. It also means the state of the collective reflects the unresolved wounds of the individual psyche. Political chaos reflects internal disconnection. Ecological collapse mirrors spiritual amnesia. Personal healing is a contribution to planetary healing. But here's the empowering side. When you reconnect with yourself, you also realign with the cosmos. When you shift your vibration, you contribute to a shift in the collective field, as within, so without. And the inverse is also true. If you want to feel more peace, look at your environment. What images surround you? What voices do you listen? In 2, what frequencies do you allow into your field? The outer becomes a signal you internalize. This is why rituals, sacred spaces, and conscious environments are so powerful. They're not superstitions. They're tools of resonance, ways of adjusting the inner world through the outer. So let me ask you, what in your life is mirroring back an unresolved wound? What synchronicities keep showing up? What's the universe trying to tell you about your own unconscious patterns? Because once you see the mirror, you can stop reacting to the reflection. You can start changing the source. And this is the key insight. You are both microcosm and macrocosm. You are not separate from the universe. You are a living expression of it. So every thought, every emotion, every pattern matters. It doesn't just shape your life, it sends a ripple into the entire field of consciousness. Your healing is not selfish, it's holographic, because the universe doesn't just happen to you, it happens through you, and sometimes it happens as you. Hermetic philosophy teaches that matter is not separate from spirit. Matter is spirit, slowed down, condensed into form. And spirit is matter in its most refined and invisible state. This may sound poetic, but it has deep consequences. It means the physical world is not dead or mechanical. It is sacred. It's a living echo of a spiritual blueprint, and that blueprint follows patterns. This is why the Hermetic Law of correspondence naturally leads to a revelation of design. Fractals, geometry, harmonic structure. Look around you, the spiral of a galaxy, the curve of a shell, the veins in a leaf, the shape of your fingerprint. All of these forms, regardless of scale, follow the same mathematical principles. These are not random. They are signatures of consciousness made visible. Let's talk about fractals. A fractal is a pattern that repeats itself at every level of scale. Zoom in, it looks the same. Zoom out, still the same. It's infinite self-similarity. Now think back to the Hermetic idea. As above, so below. Fractals are the physical confirmation of that truth. The same patterns that govern the cosmos govern your biology. The same energetic blueprints that shape trees shape your nervous system. The same principles that form clouds guide your breath. And the same forces that orchestrate the stars are at work in your subconscious mind. This is sacred geometry in action. Ancient Egyptians, Greeks, and Indian mystics all used sacred geometry in temples, altars, mandalas, and meditation. Why? Because geometric forms are more than just shapes. They are consciousness encoded in form. They are the interface between energy and matter. Take the flower of life, found in every major mystical tradition. A symbol made from overlapping circles, forming a perfect harmonic grid. Inside it, you can extract the seed of life, the Vesica Piscis, the Metatron's cube, the tree of life. Each of these shapes mirrors energetic principles: creation, division, unity, polarity, the dance between order and chaos. Even modern physics is catching up. String theory, quantum field models, and unified geometry all suggest that space is not empty. It's structured, a vibrating field of information, a geometric matrix of potentiality. So what does this mean for you? It means you are not a disconnected bag of flesh in a chaotic universe. You are a node, a fractal expression of a larger consciousness. Your body, your breath, your heartbeat, they're following patterns set into motion at the level of stars. And here's the secret. Because the universe is built on energy and vibration, form follows frequency. Change the frequency, change the form. Your thoughts, your emotions, your trauma, they carry a vibrational signature, and that signature either reinforces distorted geometry in your energy field or restores coherence, the harmony that allows your body, mind, and spirit to thrive. This is why sound healing, breathwork, meditation, and sacred rituals work. They don't just relax you, they realign your internal structure with the geometry. of the universe. You're not raising your vibration in some vague sense. You're literally tuning your personal field to resonate with cosmic order. You become a clear signal again. And when you do, life reorganizes around you. But here's the deeper realization. Spirit expresses itself through matter. Your body is not a prison, it's a portal. Your emotions are not obstacles, they're messengers. Your physical environment is not separate from your spiritual path. It's part of it. When you begin to see the divine in the details, everything changes. You don't need to escape the world to find enlightenment. You need to look more closely at what's already here with awakened eyes, because the pattern is always present. In the spiral of your DNA, in the architecture of your dreams, in the timing of events that feel too precise to be coincidence. All of it, fractal, all of it, correspondence, all of it, designed, not in the rigid sense, but in the sacred sense, alive, intelligent, and always responding to the frequency you carry. So ask yourself, what kind of pattern am I living out? What geometry does my energy hold? Where in my life is chaos asking to become coherence? Because when you align your inner structure with universal harmony, you don't just change your life, you become a transmitter of order, healing, and light into the field. You become a living piece of the sacred geometry of consciousness. Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. The Kybalion, the third Hermetic law, is the law of vibration. It tells us that nothing in the universe is truly still. Not matter, not mind, not spirit. Everything vibrates at different speeds in different densities. The ancient Hermeticists understood what science now confirms. Reality is energy in motion. Even what appears to be solid is, under a microscope, made of vibrating particles surrounded by empty space. But here's the part most people miss. Vibration isn't just physics, it's perception. What you feel determines what you tune into, and what you tune into determines what you experience. Just like a radio must match the frequency of a station to receive its signal, your emotions are the frequency you're broadcasting into the field. This is why thoughts alone aren't enough. You can't just think abundance while feeling scarcity. You can't just say you're confident while vibrating self-doubt. The universe responds not to what you say, but to what you mean. And meaning lives in vibration. Let's get more specific. Every emotion you feel is a frequency. Fear is low and contracting. Shame is dense and heavy. Anger is hot, chaotic, fast. Gratitude is expansive. Joy is radiant. Love is harmonic. The HeartMath Institute has shown that the human heart generates an electromagnetic field up to 5,000 times stronger than the brain. And when you're feeling emotions like love or appreciation, that field becomes coherent. It creates order, not just in your body, but in the field around you. This is not metaphor, it's measurable. When your emotional state becomes coherent, your brain and heart enter into resonance. Your nervous system relaxes, your immune system strengthens, your awareness expands. You're no longer just reacting, you're broadcasting. In Hermetic terms, you're no longer being shaped by vibration, you're shaping vibration, and the most powerful vibrational force, unconditional love, not romantic love, not attachment, not infatuation, but that deep, open, unshakable frequency that says, I am connected, I am whole, I am safe, and so are you. Love is not weak. Love is the strongest, organizing principle in the universe. It heals cells. It transforms trauma. It dissolves separation. In alchemy, this is the sacred fire, the transmuter of base metal into gold, metaphorically speaking. When you hold yourself in love, when you forgive yourself for the patterns you inherited, when you feel compassion for the wounds you carry and the ones who wounded you, you change the frequency of your entire field. You stop echoing the pain You start emanating coherence. This is why healing isn't just personal, it's vibrational activism. Every time you shift from fear to love, you alter the collective field. Every time you choose compassion over judgment, you tune the collective to a higher note. That's real magic, not casting spells, but casting signals. So what's the practice? Start with awareness. Notice the emotional signature you carry most of the time. Ask yourself, what frequency am I broadcasting today? Tune in to your body, it always knows. Then elevate. Use breath to calm your system. Use visualization to feel gratitude ahead of time. Use forgiveness like a tuning fork, clearing out dissonance. Speak words that feel aligned with your highest self, not just your mood. And most of all, practice love. Real, unconditional love for yourself, for your path, even for the mess, the confusion, the not knowing. Because the moment you meet your life with love, you step into vibrational alignment with the universe's deepest law, that everything is energy, and the highest energy is connection. This is the essence of Hermetic vibration, not just frequencies on a chart, but states of being that align you with cosmic intelligence. So let me ask you, what are you vibrating right now? Are your emotions echoing the past or creating the future? Are you emitting coherence or confusion? Because every moment you're either reacting from old frequencies or creating new ones. And when you choose love, not sentimentally, but energetically, you become a harmonizer, a bridge, a tuning fork for others, and in doing so, you don't just shift your life, you begin to shift the world. By now, you've been introduced to 7 laws, 7 invisible principles quietly sculpting your entire life. But here's the thing, Hermeticism never says out loud. These laws aren't just ancient truths. They're alive. They're not ideas to memorize. They're patterns to live by. Mentalism showed you that your mind is the source, not a side effect. That every external change begins in consciousness. Correspondence taught you that the universe is not separate from you. That your inner world echoes outward in infinite forms. Vibration revealed that you are not solid or stuck. You are energy, in motion. And the frequency you choose becomes the experience you live. You've seen that meditation isn't escape. It's the seat of your creative power. That your subconscious isn't just background noise. It's the hidden hand shaping your destiny. Quantum physics backed it all up. The science that once tried to reduce life to randomness is now discovering consciousness matters. Intention shapes outcome. Reality responds. You've seen how sacred geometry and fractals whisper of intelligent design, patterns echoing through your body, your breath, your thoughts, and above all, you've seen that love, real love, is the highest vibration, not a feeling, but a force. Not a romance, but a remembering. So where does this leave you? Exactly where you've always been, at the center of your own universe, a conscious creator, a living fractal of the all. You are not broken. You are not lost. You are simply remembering how to read the code you've always carried. These laws don't control you. They respond to you. And now that you know them, now that you've seen through the illusion of randomness, you can no longer unknow it. So here's your invitation. Start living this, not all at once, not perfectly, but intentionally. Next time a challenge hits, ask, what part of me created this, and what new frequency can I choose now? Next time synchronicity strikes, ask, what is this moment mirroring back to me? Next time you feel overwhelmed, remember, your attention is your power. Where you place it becomes real, and when in doubt, return to love. Not because it's nice, but because it's resonant. Because love is what harmony sounds like in the human heart. Now, if this video stirred something in you, if it gave you a new lens to see the universe through, don't keep it to yourself. Tap the like button, not just for the algorithm, but to signal that more people are ready for this level of truth. Subscribe to the channel, because this is just the beginning. Each week, we dive deeper into the unseen layers of reality, bringing science, mysticism, and soul together like never before. Leave a comment below. What law resonated with you the most? What's something you've seen differently after watching this? And if you feel someone else, maybe a friend, a loved one, a fellow seeker, is ready to hear this, share the video. You never know how one idea, one spark, one law might rewrite their entire path. Oh, and before you go, right now there are other videos on your screen: guides to quantum manifestation, the CIA gateway process, and the hidden science of energy. If this video cracked something open, those will take you even deeper. So pick the one that calls to you most. Click it, watch it, let the journey continue, because the truth is, the universe has always been speaking to you. Now, you're finally listening. Until next time, stay aware, stay aligned, and stay curious.